Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the McGonagall Boxing Podcast. Let's get straight down to it, shall we? So it's a really sad podcast in many ways because obviously late last night it was announced that the legendary middleweight champion Marvis Hagler had passed away tragically at the age of 66. I believe it was due to COVID vaccine complications. He didn't respond well, taken to the ICU unit, but unfortunately his heart packed up and he never recovered. So a shock. He looked in good health recently, looked very vibrant and positive. Just a really sad loss, a boxing legend. I just want to talk about some of his fights because, you know, everyone from all generations are talking about him today. But for me, you know, everyone's going to mention the Thomas Hearns fight, but even the Sugar Ray Leonard fight, Duran, the Mugabe fights, you know, these the Minter fights, it's just, you know, phenomenal heart and will and skill. And I truly think he's his best middleweight of all time. I know some people say Carlos Monzon, some people say Hopkins. I just think Hagler was a better all-round fighter than Monzon. I think he had a better chin, punch power. Monzon couldn't really bang like Hagler. He couldn't walk people down like Hagler. I'm not sure Monzon beats Hearns. I'm really not. And again, people say about Leonard, but you know, some people are going to say that Hagler won that fight. It was very nip and tuck, and you know, Hagler kind of overlooked him in a little bit. Started slow, but then came on strong, and you know, started to walk Leonard down. So I had it very close. I actually had scored that a draw. I didn't have Hagler losing that, but you know, it's the golden boy. Bit like Canelo, a bit like Mayweather. Leonard at the time got the decision, but you know, the way he outboxed Duran, you know, people were going to think he was going to go toe to toe for him. He didn't. He just outboxed him. You see, he's got a beautiful jab, very underrated jab. You know, and these skills sometimes got overlooked, but just a phenomenal fighter. I mean, he could do it all. Beautiful pepping jab, lovely right hand, you know, lovely right hook. Iron chin, stamina for days, you know, willpower, skill, and just train like an absolute demon. You know, the way he kind of, you know, at the end of his career beat Mugabe, who was a tough cookie, and just walked him down, you know, a roll down, beautiful display, just set himself, you know, bided his time, set himself up and knocked him out. Just a really good fighter. And yeah, I just think that, you know, it's a shame that him and Monzon kind of passed each other, didn't they? With Monzon retiring just as Hagler was coming to his fore. But that would have been a super fight. But like I say, my money would have been on Hagler. I think he would have beat Monzon, probably on points. But just a brilliant fighter and a real sad loss. And rightfully in the Boxing Hall of Fame, and rightfully for me in the top 50 of all time. You know, inspirational, inspiring, and a really sad loss. So I just wanted to put it out there. I know the boxing world from all corners are paying their respects, which is nice to see because he really was a boxing legend. Finally, just want to touch upon the Chocolatito Estrada fight last night for the unified super flyweight title. Again, the judges have got this one wrong in my view. It was a phenomenal fight. Both fighters deserve huge praise. They kept winging punches from round 1 to round 12. Neither of them took a back foot. The problem is, I just think that Estrada had beautiful hand speed at times and great flurries, but he wasn't doing the damage. Chocolatito was matching him punch for punch pretty much. And every now and again, you could see Estrada was badly hurt, badly buzzed. He'd take a temporary step back and then engage again. Phenomenal chin, both of them. Phenomenal output and stamina. But for me, Chocolatito did the more damaging work. He looked the more threatening. He looked like he was going to stop Estrada at times. I think he backed Estrada up most of the fight, although Estrada, you know, quite rightly tried to stand his ground. Ultimately, his punches were kind of bouncing off Chocolatito. Chocolatito's having more effect on Estrada. I think Chocolatito controlled the range, the pace of the fight, and ultimately the centre of the ring. and he very nearly had Estrada out there in round 12. So to score that, a split decision win for Estrada was a wrong decision, and the crowd quite rightfully showed their dismay. But it's American judges again in America. The zone, there's been a few contentious issues there. Estrada, kind of like the golden boy again, the WBC champion. And you have to wonder, don't you, if they always seem to favour the WBC, fighter. But to do that to Chocolatito, who's obviously an absolute legend and on his way out of the fight game, probably he's got a year left, and he deserved that title. Brilliant performance for him, especially after, people thought he was finished after the Ragnarsville double defeats, especially the knockout, to come back like he has. But, he's a people's champion. He got a standing ovation at the end of the fight. And for me, he rightfully won that. I had him winning that 8-4. Yes, Estrada had his moments. Yes, he won them rounds. At times, his hand speed was superior. He had put some lovely flurries together. And, he caught Gonzalez at times. But generally, Gonzalez wasn't phased, wasn't hurt. And he started to slowly beat and back Estrada up as the fight wore on. I had it very even. And I felt Gonzalez started to take control from round 7 onwards. And I only gave Estrada one of the last 4 rounds. So, a bad decision. This is a problem with boxing. Great fights get ruined with bad judges. I hope there's a rematch. But you wonder, fights like that, how much is it taken out of, especially an Asian fighter like Gonzalez. There's only so many fights you can go to the world like that. An absolute classic. Possibly already the fight of the year, just a wrong decision.